Is Microsoft Copilot a disaster? It can definitely save hours and provide real value to the business, but most companies just buy it and turn it on and then wonder why very few people actually use it. In today's episode, we break down what works and what doesn't in Microsoft Copilot. We also discuss the big decision of whether you should just standardize it, make it the default AI in your company, or let people choose. Let's accelerate your business. Hi everyone, welcome to the AI Accelerator for Business show brought to you by 0to60.ai, where you get the latest strategies, tactics, and information about the business benefits of artificial intelligence. My name is Carl Ye. I'm joined by my co-host Jeff Bradshaw, and today we're talking about our favorite subject, Microsoft Copilot. And I say that with a lot of sarcasm because, if you follow this show, you follow any of us, I would say we're anti-Copilot, but we're always confused why Copilot is just not on par with the other models.
You know what, Carl? It's frustrating because I think that it's an easy box to check for most executives and most IT teams and we get the security concerns and everything else, but this is where we see shadow AI popping up all the time is when a company comes in, they turn on Microsoft Copilot. Most people that work for them don't even know they have it. I would say the majority don't even understand the benefits because there's no training to go along with it. It just shows up. And if you want to talk about wasting money, we've heard numerous stories of companies and executives that turn it on, spend tons of money because they got a really good sales pitch from Microsoft, and nobody's using it. And that's unfortunate.
Yeah, and I think the training aspect is one really missed opportunity because there are some things in Microsoft Copilot that actually work relatively decent. And if your company, that's the only thing you can use, why not have the company train on it and train on it? Not here's some things it could do. It's like, here's take advantage of some things like Copilot agents or even using the Microsoft Graph related to it. But I think what's really confusing is things like Claude for Excel, Claude for PowerPoint. It doesn't make any sense. Wait a minute. You've had the ability to integrate AI into your products and services, but a company like Claude can make a better Excel plugin, can make a better PowerPoint plugin, and make something like Cowork where it can access your drives and have an agent do stuff. You're telling me that Microsoft couldn't make that happen? And if they did, pardon the French, the shittier version of making that happen. So it's always confusing, which leads to shadow AI.
Well, and I think, again, we're not anti-Microsoft. I think it's more a matter of we just get, like, if Microsoft Copilot was in line with ChatGPT and Gemini and Anthropic, Claude, we would have no problems. We don't sell any specific platforms. We just want to be able to give our clients and their employees the access to the best tools that are available on the market. And we just find that Copilot misses the mark in many cases here. So, but I agree with you. I mean, Copilot does work well for organizations, and I think it's, there's some real basic ones, and we have worked with it. We have trained people. So again, it's not anti Copilot. It's more just a matter of, are you providing your company with the best competitive tools that are on the marketplace, or are you using a watered down version of what's available?
So the thing that I want to maybe go into is what are the things that Copilot actually does well, and then the long list of things that Microsoft Copilot doesn't do well. So the first thing that I want to showcase is, I think this is where Microsoft really kills it, is their ability to do the Microsoft Graph. So when I talk about the Microsoft Graph, the ability for Microsoft to connect your email, like all the stuff that you do, your email, the files you're working on, your calendar, all related, all connected together, whether you're on SharePoint or whatever that is. So an example of that would be, and this is one we hear from so many people, it's like, hey, I get so many emails about so many different things. If I come back from a PTO, what did I miss? And remember those emails that we found from something else, from a topic or a person? I need to find that. And it's kind of a pain to actually look for it. One of the things I love about Microsoft is to be able to do this. So here's the prompt that I'm using. Find me all the emails between myself and Jeff on a client, Rising Edge, and give me a summary and draft an email on the next steps. And as you can see here, I'm using Teams. I'm in Copilot in Teams. And I'm using the work, which is accessing your Microsoft Graph.
And I think these are the things where there's that real power, like you say, Carl. Like that's one of the biggest things we find with people is just, people coming back and saying, well, I just left for a 2-hour meeting. I got 90 emails that came in. So how do you kind of keep on top of all that stuff?
And as you can see here, it starts summarizing with a link to the actual email, all the emails that between me and Jeff that we sent and had conversations about, and it helped me draft the next step based on this. As you can see, that's a pretty good use case of understanding all the emails that, we've talked about and then taking it to the next step. And I think this is a really good use case for like a Microsoft Copilot. Another thing that I think is pretty decent at is, and just like any AI, whether you're, and I think mostly in Word, I don't think it does well in Excel and PowerPoint, but Word, if you have just an ability to, gives you that first draft, something that ChatGPT, any AI model can do. But what makes it worthwhile is it's built into Word, right? So you don't have to copy and paste from ChatGPT, which we hear a lot of is like, I still have to copy and paste from whichever model I have. Now you can have a starting. I think this is also any of the AI models does a better job at first drafts with it. That's the problem, is when you ask Microsoft in Word to do something and then you ask the same thing in ChatGPT or Claude or Gemini or even Grok, the output's so much better. And I think that's the problem with it. And the final thing, which I think which kind of is connected to in terms of Microsoft Copilot, is its company knowledge, its ability to connect files. So another example of what I mean, going back to this, if I hit slash, it has the ability to connect to people, connect files, connect meetings, emails, and chats, and being able to have that connection and being able to access that and putting it into the conversation is a pretty powerful. I don't think any AI lab has that level of easy integration. ChatGPT has company knowledge. Claude has connectors. Google really can't connect to Microsoft in a very easy manner because obviously they want you to use Google products. But in a business work sense, when a lot of people are on PC and a lot of people use Teams and so on, this is one of the best tools for it. And I guarantee you, for many of you watching, you had no clue this actually existed to be able to do any of this. So those are our top three where Microsoft works and where Microsoft wins.
Well, and the interesting thing is too, is that anybody who's using Microsoft Suite, you have access to a free version of Copilot, which can do some of the basics. And I think that's the thing I don't, we had a client just a couple of weeks ago that they said, well, we're going to go with Copilot because we want it to, help us write emails. I'm going, well, the free version you have already allows you to do that. So why don't you use Copilot for that application? But then why don't you look at another tool for all the other things you want to do that has more capabilities?
And that's the unfortunate thing, is that there are some advanced features for Copilot, like accessing Excel for agents, but to actually enable that is a ridiculous, it isn't intuitive. You actually have to press add-ins. Your administrator has to be able to enable it. Then no one's going to train you on it. So you have to actually know that it's there to install it and then how to use it. Versus, because I was on a plane to Boston and it was very funny that 2 rows ahead of me, someone was working on a PowerPoint presentation and the Microsoft Copilot thing was right there. And that person continued to drag, drop, just fully edit that PowerPoint. I'm like, one, did you even know that Copilot could do that? And two, thank goodness you're not using it. You'll probably be more frustrated using Copilot. So some of the things it doesn't work, we've already mentioned this, the capabilities of any of the models outside versus you using inside is night and day. And I think that the reason is Microsoft adds so many layers on top, like, their own system prompts that go on top of the models, which so you're not getting the base model that everyone else gets. So ChatGPT 5.2, it's weird. When I do a prompt in Copilot, the exact same with 5.2 in Microsoft versus 5.2 in regular ChatGPT, the answers are so And yes, it's generative AI, but the comprehensiveness, I guess, thoughtfulness, and following your exact instructions versus the Microsoft version is just worse. And I don't know why.
It's funny because we had somebody in a meeting a couple of weeks ago who said that. He says, "Well, we're fine because it uses ChatGPT 5.2. We're just Copilot's all good." But then you do these tests, and you're like, "But they're both 5.2, but there's something watered
Yeah.
down here." You know,
Yeah. Of all the things that Microsoft has provided that people use is Excel. We talked about how people export from one tool, work in Excel, and import. Happens quite a bit. You would think that Microsoft, through Copilot, would have one of the best Excel tools, yet Claude has beaten them to it and beats Copilot hands down. Just your experience with it has been amazing. I was like blown away by I'm not a very good Excel user, but it seems like now I'm a significant power user. And then we go into PowerPoint. Again, should have been in Microsoft wheelhouse, but you've got Claude for PowerPoint, you've got GenSpark, you've got Manus, which do a much better job using AI to edit on brand things in PowerPoint that Copilot just can't do, and I'm not sure why.
well, and it's interesting too. Like when you talk about PowerPoint, this isn't like there's such a huge opportunity to be putting out better presentations, and we're starting to use it more and more because I think there's a real opportunity, rather than just using the PowerPoint. Here's your recommended designs, and they never look like what you want them to actually look like. But to be able to use some of these other tools, like you talk about Claude skills, and maybe it's with Claude for PowerPoint now. If you can put up your brand guidelines and some templates, and now it starts to get all of that, the proper colors, the proper font styles, spacing, the way you typically do it, follow your brands. I mean, what a huge time saver. Because I think most people spend the majority of their time trying to make their PowerPoints look good, and they very rarely do.
Most of the times when they try to make their PowerPoint look good, the people on the receiving end of such presentation barely notice. So like, you're spending a lot of time editing that title. Because I saw this one lady on the flight, she's edited it like 3 or 4 times. Like, honestly, I don't think the people would really care what the title
No,
is. They're looking
no,
at the graph and whatever you're talking about.
absolutely.
Again, the issues that we have with with Copilot have been it's watered down its models, and then it's hard to actually find where you can use it, and the lack of training for even its base functions for a lot of companies, because we hear it. Oh yeah, to turn it on, but we got maybe one training a year and a half ago, and that was it. And then we see the usage numbers, right? See very, very low Copilot usage. And then the company's like, if this is what AI is, this is garbage. And we feel it's like, you didn't get the full experience, and no one trained you, and no one kept training you because the models kept getting better and there's some new features. It's a really missed opportunity for the company, for companies who just deploy it.
Well, and I think that's where you get a lot of executives going, yeah, we're doing it, but we don't really see an uptake on it. Well, again, it's you're not training them, you're not providing guidelines, you're not giving them any ideas. And then when you do give it to them, you've got a watered down tool. And I think that's the interesting thing about this is that if you give somebody Copilot and somebody uses it to help draft an email and that's all they know, well, to them, it's amazing technology. It's the best tool out there.
Mhm.
Until you start to show them what some of the other models do, you expand their horizons.
Yeah.
And that's when we start to have people coming back and going, hmm, I've got Copilot, but it sucks. So
Yeah.
I use my own Claude at home, or I use my Chat GPT, or I go to Grok, or I go, and this
Yeah.
is where the whole shadow eye thing comes in. And it happens over and over and over again. The example that we use, we were working with the Calgary Police Service, and the IT department says we have very strict policy around using Copilot. And yet I play hockey with guys that I know for a fact are using, ChatGPT models for their day-to-day work on their own personal phones, because it's better. And that's a
Right.
bigger security risk than anything else. And yet, I don't know. I go back to the fact that I think just clicking on Microsoft Copilot and saying we're doing AI is such a lazy, inefficient approach to this new technology.
And like we showed, there are good use cases for Copilot. And one of our clients has, I love how they changed their policy after we gave that presentation, where it's like, it used to be Copilot only. Now it's, hey, as long as you write a business use case, here are 5 potential AI tools that you could access because we're not sure what you need access to, and some models are better than others at certain things. As long as you have a use case, here's, giving you the choice for it.
Well, and that's the example. So they still have a lot of people have Copilot in that organization, but you might have the marketing department that wants a license to Google Gemini because they can use Nano Banana for image creation. You might want to have another group that might want to have ChatGPT because they just like the way the custom GPTs or the connectors work. You might have another one that wants, Claude and their ability to use, Claude for Excel because of the power. So you don't have to roll out license for each of these to everybody in the organization. You might have the finance department with 2 Claude licenses. You might have the marketing department with 3 Gemini licenses. So again, it's a different approach, but that's a little bit more work. But that's where you're going to see your return on investment.
The old software method is we're going to deploy it to everybody. Not everyone's going to use it, but we're going to deploy it because we signed a contract or an RFP, and but we have time to also train everybody on it. You don't have time here. And if one tool is not good enough, there's so many tools out there that people easily can have access to on their phone. Whether you block it on your device, it doesn't matter anymore. So those kind of things, it requires a different type of thinking. And we always talk about, it's not an AI tools thinking, it's a systems thinking. How can you support your team? Because you still have to regularly train, maintain. But instead of you providing 150 Microsoft Copilot license, which I think is at $37 per pop, what if you're only providing 50 licenses, but say 10 are ChatGPT, 20 are Claude, 20 are Gemini, whatever that combination is, and maybe 5 for Copilot, it's still significantly cheaper, and your ROI is 10x than just providing a blank slate and saying that's all everyone can use.
And I would say too, Carl, I think there are certain cases, like if you're a government organization, you might be like, there's no way in hell you're getting access to anything else other than Microsoft Copilot because you are a Microsoft shop and that's, live and die on that sword. If that's the case, then at least provide your people with some basic training and some understanding of the capabilities of the tool so that you can get the best use out of it. But I would say that if you're not a government organization necessarily, I don't think that you're 100% have to be a Microsoft Copilot shop. If your IT department is telling you that, it's because that's what they prefer and that's what they want, and it's going to be easier for them to manage, and they'll give you all kinds of reasons as to why you shouldn't allow any of these other tools in. But I don't buy it. I think in this day and age, you got to take a different approach. And again, we keep saying this, and we work with IT departments and have very, very good relationships with IT departments, and they're a critical part of this whole AI integration process. But I also think that your AI integration is not solely an IT department decision. It's got to be an executive team decision. So if you understand the capabilities, that's when you start to see like this one client where their policy changed because they went, no, this makes sense to give people access to different tools rather than just solely being a Microsoft shop.
Learn more about implementing AI for your business by watching these videos here. Enjoy today's episode, want to learn how AI can impact your company? Then please subscribe to this channel. Thanks for watching. We'll catch you next time.